Welcome everybody to the Texas REIAs. The Texas REIAs is the largest by far network of real estate investor associations in the great state of Texas, with over 150,000 members, participants, and attendees going back to 2003. This meeting is sponsored by the Texas REIAs and flipping.com, the #1 place online to get started flipping. And the Texas REIAs is really a network of real estate investor associations all across the great state of Texas. So why does that matter, and why do you care? Well, the reason you might care is because real estate is local. Laws are local, contracts are local, contractors are local, buyers and sellers are local. There's 30,000 YouTube videos that talk about how to invest in real estate. They all talk about how to do it anywhere. Well, how to do it anywhere is how to do it at 30,000 feet. Real estate is not bought and sold at 30,000 feet. Real estate is bought and sold at 0 feet. So if you want to know what laws apply here, and which contracts to use here, and which neighborhoods to invest in here, and which houses to buy and which houses to hold here, where do you get all that? Where do you get money? Where do you get all that? You get that at your local real estate investor association. My job is to make you all into educated and contributing members of this community. So, we are live, welcome, and we are also broadcasting online. So if you are on GoToWebinar, welcome, you are watching live. If you are on social media, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, or Instagram, you may or may not be live. But if you'd ever like to join us for a live meeting, just go to flipping.com/events, because we have a whole event calendar with all kinds of training and free events all over the place for all types of education when it comes to real estate investing. So let me start this presentation by talking about where to get started, how to get started. Some of you that were here earlier were part of this conversation. Some of you have just been getting here and didn't hear the whole conversation, so I'm going to talk about it right now, kind of how to get started. And by the way, we're going to do a presentation first on kind of which strategies you might want to use in today's market, and then we're going to do a market update after that and talk about with the latest market data, inventory numbers, prices, where things are, and a forecast where they're going. But let's get started with asking the question of how to get started, where to get started. Because there's a lot of ways that you can make money investing in real estate. You can do residential, or you can do commercial. You can do active, or you can do passive. And people always ask, well, which is the best one? Well, I think they're all wonderful. There is no best one, but it really depends on what you're trying to do. If you tell me I'm here because I want to generate income, replace my job, make 6 figures in the next 12 months, then I'm going to say you should be flipping houses. The fastest way to make 6 figures in the next 12 months is to flip houses. And there's about a dozen different ways you can do that. We're going to talk about many different ways you can do that. If you say, no, that's not really why I'm here. I'm not really here to make short-term income. I'm really looking more for long-term wealth. I want to build my wealth. Well, if your goal is primarily to build wealth, I would say you should buy rental properties. I have been buying rental properties for 21 years. I have $30 million worth of houses, mostly at this point free and clear, and it's a great way to build long-term wealth. Now, if you say that's still not my problem, what I really want to do is I want to make money with money. I already have a 401k, I have an IRA, or I have a bunch of money in the bank or the stock market, but I want something way better than the stock market. If that's your goal, then I would say you should be investing in commercial syndications. Commercial syndications typically have twice the return of the stock market and half the risk, right? So nobody ever goes back to the stock market after they learn about commercial syndications. You put 50,000 in, you get 100,000 back. You put 100,000 in, you get 200,000 back. Nobody ever goes. I haven't invested in the stock market for 20 years because once I found out there's something better, I never went back. You know, wealthy people do not invest in the stock market. Wealthy people invest in private equity. Private equity is what? Not publicly listed things like Apple Computer, but private investments, okay? The most common of which are commercial syndications. Why do they invest in that? Because it's typically twice the return and half the risk. And if you ever ask a financial planner, like, what do you think about commercial real estate? I got to tell you, they hate, with a passion, hate commercial real estate. Like, what do you think about in commercial real estate? Oh, you don't want to do that. Oh, that's just a terrible, terrible idea. And the reason they passionately hate commercial real estate is because every time one of their clients figures out about commercial real estate, they lose their client. They never come back, because once you learn there's something that's better and less risk, you're never going to go back. But if you say that's still not why I'm here, why I really want is I want to make $1 million, $2 million, $4 million or more every year, then I'm going to say you should be doing commercial syndications, right? It's a great way to make millions of dollars a year, right? Because eventually you can only flip so many houses. It doesn't scale. Rental properties really don't generate that much income. They build wealth, but they really don't generate income. To invest in syndications, you got to have money to make money. But if you really want to make millions a year, this is where you're going to end up, right? Doing commercial syndications. Now, it is millions of dollars a year, but the trick is, or the catch is, it's big money, but it's not fast money. A typical commercial syndication, a commercial flip, typically takes about 5 years. So yeah, you can make $1 million, $2 million, $4 million or more per deal, but it takes about 5 years for each one of the deals. So if every year you're starting one, right, then every year you're finishing one, now you got a pipeline where you're making millions of dollars a year. So most people start flipping houses, right? And then after they start flipping houses, I have the Bluebell ice cream philosophy when it comes to real estate. What is their slogan? You know, we eat all we can and we sell the rest, right? That's Bluebell ice cream. I keep all I can and I sell the rest. I wish I could have kept them all, right? I mean, the smartest thing I did 21 years ago is I bought a bunch of houses, mostly in central Austin. Now, I will tell you, like real estate, what do you think about the price of houses right now? Who thinks, let's do a little poll of the audience, and I'm going to ask your opinion. There's no right or wrong answer, so I want everybody's participation, okay? And there's no right or wrong answer. You can't be wrong. So what do you think? Do you think houses are expensive, or do you think houses are cheap right now? Let's do a little poll of the audience. Who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Raise your hand if you think they're kind of expensive right now. Who thinks houses are kind of cheap right now? Who thinks houses are cheap right now? Okay, my opinion, houses are dirt freaking cheap right now. I can't freaking believe how cheap these houses are. They are practically giving them away. It's ridiculous how cheap the houses are.
You've been in Texas all your life?
No, I've been in Texas for 25 years. Okay. Got here as quick as I could. And they are giving them away. And I got to tell you, they are just giving them away. And I can't believe how cheap I'm shocked, frankly, at how cheap these houses are. Now, if you don't agree, and a lot of you seem to not agree, if you don't agree with me, don't listen to me. I want you to ask somebody that I know that you trust. In fact, I'm going to have you ask somebody that you probably trust more than anybody else in the world. Ask their opinion, right? Because I know you trust them. Even if you don't trust me, I know you trust them. Here's who I want you to ask. I want you to ask future you, okay? I want you to talk to yourself 20 years in the future and ask future you, what do you think of real estate prices back in 2024? And I'm going to tell you what future you is going to tell you. Oh my God. Do you realize back in 2024 you could buy a house in Houston, Texas for less than $2.5 million? You should have bought them all. Every year for 21 years. Everybody always thinks the same thing. Houses are expensive. Houses are expensive. When I bought my portfolio 21 years ago, I bought houses in a very expensive market. Houses were ridiculously expensive. So I was buying houses in downtown Austin for $120,000, $140,000. I think for some of them, you're not going to believe this, I paid as much as $180,000. I know, for a house downtown. Ridiculous prices. They were absolutely ridiculous prices. Today, those prices are now worth, those houses are now worth $580,000, $820,000. One of them's worth $1.2 million, right? Whatever you think about the houses today compared to 20 years ago, 20 years from now, it's the exact same thing. They're going to be looking at the houses today versus 20 years from now, right? And they're going to say exactly the same thing. My point from all of that is, right, keep some rental properties. 20 years from now, most of your wealth will be determined by the ones you kept, right? Not the ones you flipped. So keep the best and flip the rest. Now, when you have more money than you need to pay your bills, you're going to want to do what? You're going to want to make money with your money. And I'm going to tell you the best way to make money with money is not the stock market, it's private equity. It's in investing in syndications. Now, I always have a couple philosophies. Only invest with people you know in things you understand, right? That's just some really good general advice, right? If you're within a network, meet people, right? Learn before you invest, right? Invest in stuff you understand with people you know. And if you put your money in syndications, you can use your IRA or your non-IRA money. If you put 50 in, you get 100 back. You put 100 in, you get 200 back, right? So you double your money in most cases. And then once you start to do that, you're going to understand how that really works. And you're going to realize, wow, I put 100 in, I got 200 back. That's really cool. But the guy I put the 100 into, right, he made 2 million. You know, I made 200,000, he made 2 million. 2 million is better than 200,000. I want to be that guy. So then eventually you become that guy. So they're all great, right? And I do all 4 quadrants. In fact, within the network and flipping.com and Texas REIAs, we have training and resources and power teams and really everything you need to participate in all of those quadrants. So I love them all. I recommend them all. You're all here on your own unique personal individual journeys. So some of these things are going to be more or less interesting to each of you. I will specifically say that if commercial real estate is your primary interest, I recommend you take a picture of this one. We have special resources just for doing commercial syndications, for actively investing in commercial or passively investing in commercial. And again, all of these little pop-ups, these are resources for you. Take a little snapshot if you're interested in commercial, and we'll send you some resources specific to commercial, right? And if you're not interested in commercial, then don't take a snapshot. Okay, so most of you, and let's go back to our little chart here. How many of you are mostly here because you want to make an extra 6 figures in the next 12 months? Who wants to make some 6 figures in the next 12 months? Raise your hand if you'd say that's your primary goal. Okay, how many of you are here because you really want to build long-term wealth, not so much short-term income, but more long-term wealth? How many more long-term wealth? Okay, great. How many of you are here because you really want to make money with your money? Who's ready to passively make money with your money? Okay, great. And how many of you are here because you want to do commercial syndications? You're ready to do commercial syndications. Okay, well, it's about the distribution I would have guessed. So most of you are in categories 1 and 2. So let's get started with categories 1 and 2. So good news, if you are in categories 1 or 2, there's a lot of things you can do to make money quickly investing in real estate. In fact, I'm going to show you about a dozen different strategies that you can use to generate income and, of course, to build wealth. So let's get into some of that stuff. And by the way, I'm Phil Grove. I'm one of the founders of the Texas REIAs. I've been a real estate investor since 2003. Negotiated over 1,200 deals, a lot of fix and flips, a lot of mortgage assignments, a lot of short sales. Owned $30 million worth of rental properties, big believer in rental properties, long-term wealth, made a lot of money doing all those flips. And I've taught at this point over 100,000 people how to invest in real estate, so I'm a pretty known educator, maybe the best known educator of real estate here in Texas, because I really focus here in Texas. So welcome to the Texas REIAs. These are some of the houses I flipped. I don't really have time to go through them all, but I do up to a real estate transaction a week in some shape, form, variety, or another. And that creates money in big chunks. Now that sounds cool, right? Money in big chunks, but I'm not here to sound cool. I'm here to teach you. How does this business work? Fundamentally, the way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call us. So what kind of problems? They have a house they need to sell, a mortgage they can't afford. Problems to entrepreneurs are what? Opportunities. Big problems are what? Big opportunities. So like if you're thinking like, I don't want any problems, you're thinking, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. All entrepreneurs have something in common. They help the world By solving the world's problems. That's what entrepreneurs do. If you figure out how to solve big problems that a lot of people have, you can make a lot of money. So we are real estate entrepreneurs, and we have all kinds of strategies that we use to solve real estate problems. So let me give you some examples. I found somebody facing foreclosure, big problem, and I gave them an alternative to foreclosure, something called a short sale, allowed them to sell their house without having to bring any money to the table, without completely destroying their credit, and I made $16,000 helping somebody out of a situation, solve a problem. REO stands for real estate owned. A bank had a property. Banks don't want to own property. So I took it off the bank's hands, solving the bank's problems, and I flipped it and I made $36,000. A guy had an interesting legal problem. Had to sell a house by Friday. A realtor cannot sell your house by Friday. I can. Wholesaled it, made $5,000. Got a property subject to my specialty, no money, no credit, flipped it, made $68,000, $5,600 on an assignment, $6,000 profit from a mortgage assignment, $10,000 from a wholesale, $2,800 from a small referral, $12,400 for a larger referral. The way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call us. And here's the really beautiful part. For every kind of problem that exists, there is no exception, we have a strategy, a solution that helps them, is about helping people, solves their problem, solves their need, and gets us paid. Sometimes we get singles, sometimes we get doubles, sometimes we get home runs. Sometimes I work on a lead, a deal, an opportunity, a problem for 6 months, and after 6 months I make $5,000. I'm like, oh man, 6 months, $5,000. I could have made more money working at Walmart. Thank goodness I'm not working on just one lead at a time. Sometimes my phone rings, and that phone call makes me $55,000 in 48 hours. And I'm like, oh man, I wish every time my phone rang I made $55,000 in 48 hours. But that's not how it works either. It's maybe 1 in 100 phone calls. So the question is, how often do you get 100 phone calls? Well, that depends on you and how much marketing that you do. You get 100 phone calls a month, you get 100 phone calls a week, you get 100 phone calls a year. Well, that depends on you and how many deals that you look at. You can determine that. So there's 2 essential skills I'm going to teach you today to be a real estate investor. The first and foremost skill is marketing. Marketing is finding the deal, generating the lead. A lead is the name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. You need to spend 85% of your time looking for deals, generating leads, outsource everything else. The next skill we have to learn is strategy. Strategy is the product, the service that we offer. We buy houses. We help people sell houses and get rid of houses and mortgages they don't want or can't afford. We do it in a variety of different ways. It solves a variety of different problems. So marketing and strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems. Okay, we use 65 different methods to find off-market, because we only buy off-market wholesale real estate. We use a dozen different strategies to help people. It's about helping people solve their needs, solve their problem, and get ourselves paid. Okay, over half of the marketing methods, by the way, are completely free. And 9 of the 12 investing strategies are actually no money, no credit strategies. Right? And when you learn how to buy houses with no money and no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. Yeah, and this is really the game. Because here's another thing you got to learn about real estate. Nobody has enough money to actually be a real estate investor. Elon Musk does not have enough money. You don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. I don't care how much you have, not enough. You got $500 million sitting in your checking account. Great, good for you. Go buy a house. Okay, now you're done. Yep, that was it. You put the money in the house. Now you can't buy another house, so you sold that house. Well, that doesn't scale. You see, in this business, the deal of a lifetime could show up tomorrow. Are you ready? You have to be prepared to buy any property at any price at any time. And the only way to do that is to use other people's money and to learn creative strategies. So we're going to teach you creative strategies to buy houses even with little or no money. So, marketing and strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, and solving problems. Let's get started with the marketing, finding the deal. Well, actually, first I'm going to tell you a quick story. This was actually the very first house that I flipped on December 15, 2003. But I'll tell you a little story. On December 14th, 2003, I was scared to death. I was actually being coached and mentored by the two guys who ran the Real Estate Investor Association back then. I called them both on the phone on December 14, 2003. I'm scared. Are you sure this is going to work? I don't want to lose any money. It took two seasoned investors pulling me, kicking and screaming over the starting blocks to get me to do that very first deal. So if you're new and if you're a little scared, I get it, I can relate, and I can help. But I had one other thing that was actually also motivating me to take action and to move forward. I was in a job I no longer loved, and I was in a career that I no longer loved. And I got to tell you, if you're spending your time doing something you don't love doing, you need to do something different with your life plan. And that's exactly where I was on December 15, 2003. I needed a different life. And I got to tell you, you get one life, and it just races by. It just races by. My wife and I recently had a baby boy. Yeah, thank you. And this last weekend, I noticed there was a 15-year-old running around in my house. What? He's taller than me. It's like I fed him a little bit, but like he's taller than me. We're talking cars. What's going on here? And I'm thinking to myself, what happened to the last 15 years of my life? It just whooshed by. And if you're not on a trajectory to getting the life that you want, maybe we need to change the trajectory, right? Because we're not getting any younger, right? Now would be good. When's the best time to plant a tree? No, 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? That would be now. That would be like now is good. So let me tell you a little bit more about that first deal. Because I got to tell you, your first deal in many ways is your most important deal. It's like your first kiss, right? Everybody remembers their first kiss. Everybody remembers their first deal. Let me tell you about mine. It took me 6 months to find my first deal. I was actually a pretty slow starter. I got it under contract with a contract I got right here at the REIA. I bought it using OPM, other people's money, private money. There's 1,000 private money lenders in this network. Private money is cheaper, faster, better than hard money, any other kind of money. Got it fixed with a contractor I found here at the REIA. Got it sold with a realtor I found here at the REIA. Got it closed with an attorney and title company that I got here at the REIA. And I went to that very first closing and picked up that very first check for $15,384.26. And do you know when they handed me that check, it was like you unscrewed the cap, popped out the old brain, popped in the new brain. Because right up until the moment that they handed me that check, I was a real estate investor based on theory. And I wasn't even sure I believed the theory. I don't know if this is going to work, not sure about that, don't know about that. But the second they handed me that check, like a switch flipping, I became a real estate investor based on experience. You see, I didn't know anything different except I knew it actually worked. And what I realized when they handed me that check is if I did this and this and this again, I'd get another check. Worked the first time. And if I did this, this, and this again, I get another check. But the really big deal I realized when they handed me that check, I realized at that moment that I would never, ever, 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 for the rest of my life, ever have to work for somebody else. Ever, 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 never, ever again. And I have not worked for anybody else even for 1 second since they handed me that check. So if you're new and you're getting started, here's my first piece of advice. You need to focus yourself like a laser beam on that very first deal. That very first deal will change your life, mostly by changing your mindset. Deals 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 combined, not as hard as deal number 1. So I told you I was going to tell you what I did right. I'm also going to tell you what I did wrong, because I also made a great big first deal rookie mistake. I spent all of that time finding the deal. I found the deal. Once I found the deal, I kind of put my marketing on hold. I picked up a hammer, started working on that project. I flipped that house. I got the check only to wake up the next day and realize that I had absolutely nothing to do. Well, except start the whole business all over again. And this gets me to my very first takeaway, and here it is. And this is the big one. The business of being a real estate investor is the business of finding deals. It's all about finding deals. Why? Because you make your money on the buy. Okay? You make your money on the buy. Once you get a property under contract, Whatever money was going to be made or not made, done, right at that moment. Yeah, you get your money at the end on the sell, but you make the money on the buy. And once you realize that, you have to always spend 85% of all of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal. And you have to approach this business such that the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. The rookies all screw this up, and it's a mindset problem. They finally find a deal, they do a deal, they make money, great, but while they're working on the deal, they're not looking for the next deal. So they reset their marketing, eventually they get it going again, eventually they find another deal, they do a deal, they make money, great, but while they're working on the deal, they're not looking for the next deal. So they reset the marketing, right? Eventually they get it going again, they find another deal, they do a deal, they make some money, great, but they stop the marketing. And their income goes up and down with big gaps in between. You need your income to go up, 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 up. And the only way to do that is you have to keep the pipeline continuously filled with deals. And the only way to do that is to always spend 85% of your time and money on marketing. With the attitude, the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. And hint, the deals you're looking for are not in the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service. It's the retail market for real estate. It's where realtors sell real estate. It's where all the people in the world compete with each other to see who will pay the most. And when you're competing against all the people in the world, some of those people are stupid. And you don't want to compete against stupid. Well, you don't want to win competing against stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I love the MLS. I adore the MLS. Why do I love and adore the MLS? Because after I buy off-market wholesale real estate, where do I then want to go to resell it? On the MLS. It has been proven that any property in the MLS will sell for the most it could possibly be sold for. But that's never where you're going to find heavily discounted wholesale real estate. I haven't bought a house in the MLS in over a decade because that's not where you're going to find heavily discounted wholesale real estate. So, finding deals, and here's that rookie mistake, very common rookie mistake number one. They go back and forth between doing a deal and looking for a deal, doing a deal, looking for a deal, and their income goes up and down and up and down and up and down. You need your income to go up, 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 up. And the way that you get it to go up, 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 up is you always spend 85% of your time and money on marketing because the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. You never stop marketing. So finding deals, once I realized this whole shooting match is really about finding deals, then I started to systematize the process of finding deals. And over time, I developed a whole bunch of different methods, 65 different methods for finding deals. Actually, it's not totally accurate to say I developed 65 methods. What would be more accurate is to say I found 65 things that work, and I started to do those things. In fact, I need to teach you all a really important lesson, maybe the most important lesson I'm going to teach today. But for me to teach you this next lesson, first, I need to unteach you all something. Okay, so I got to unteach you all something. When you guys are in elementary school, if you looked over the paper next to you and you copied down the answers, that was called what? Cheating. And you were all told that cheating is what? Bad, wrong. Okay, all right? We're not a bunch of little kids. We're not in elementary school anymore. Going forward, I need you all to unlearn that. Because going forward, guess what? Cheating is actually the shortcut. What am I saying up here? What I'm trying to say is this. There is nothing that you are trying to do. There's absolutely nothing that you are trying to figure out that I and other people haven't already done and figured out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. We know what's in the soil. We know the zoning. We know the guys that write the zoning. We know the appreciation rate by street address across all the streets, across all the cities, across the state of Texas. We know the exact letters to send to the exact marketing list. We know the exact offers to make. We know the exact words to say. We know exactly what the objections are going to be. We know exactly how to overcome the objections. We even know, on average, how many contracts we're going to get signed for every 20,000 letters we send out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. And once I realized everything I was trying to do and everything I was trying to figure out, other people had done and figured out, I stopped trying to figure everything out, and I just started to, here's this word, copy, right? Copy the 65 tested, proven methods of actually finding these deals. Now, some of these methods take time, and some of these methods take money. When you get started, you probably have more time and less money. Once you get going, you have more money and less time. I will be honest with you, I don't spend any time anymore on marketing. I outsource 100%. But when you're getting started, you're probably going to insource most of it. So then what are all these different marketing methods? Well, let me teach you a whole bunch. The first thing you can do is you can buy marketing lists. You can buy marketing lists. These are lists of motivated sellers that you can buy directly from off market. Okay, what do you do with a marketing list? Well, you can send them letters and postcards, or you can call them, or you can send text messages to them, or you can dump a voicemail message that's pre-recorded into their voicemail box even without calling them, or you can knock on their door, you can send them letters or postcards, you can do a combination of those things. That's called a combo plan or a multi-touch plan, or you can do what I do and use a chat bot to chat with them while you're sleeping and talk to thousands of them and schedule appointments with the ones that actually want an offer, right? So what are some of the popular marketing lists? Well, you can get a list of people that did not pay their property taxes, people that are late paying their mortgage, 30, 60, 90, or 120 days late paying their mortgage, people that have filed for divorce. Two people were combining their income to pay a mortgage. Now one of them's gone. Well, the one that's left is probably having trouble paying the mortgage by themselves. You can get a list of people who've inherited a house from somebody that passed away, people whose credit scores are starting to fall, people that just got dismissed from bankruptcy, certainly a lot of financial distress there. You can get a non-owner occupied list. This is a list of people that own a house where they don't live at the house they own. Technically, those are landlords. And a lot of them are what we call accidental landlords. They couldn't sell a house, so they rented it out. Or they let an ex-spouse or family member, a neighbor, friend stay at a house, or they inherited a house with a tenant in it. They didn't really plan on being a landlord, and very often, eventually, they become motivated sellers. You can get a list of people who rent to people on public assistance. You can get a code enforcement list. The city is already driving around, issuing citations for abandoned houses, hoarder houses, problem houses. You know you can get the city to give you a list of every problem property in the city. You can even get an expired listing list. This is a list of people that hired a realtor and tried to sell the house and it didn't sell. So what do we know about these people? We know 100% of these people would like to sell their house, probably now more than ever, but they probably need solutions that realtors don't offer. Hello, that's exactly what investors do offer. With an internet, you can get leads with a website. Bayonet signs, little plastic signs see on the side of the road. We buy houses. Why do you see those signs? Because they actually work. Online ads work. Email, autoresponders, magnetic signs, a little sign on the side of your car. You buy the sign once, you drive around, your car's a billboard, you get leads for the rest of your life. Door hangers, you don't want to pay postage. For 10 cents a door, you can have your door hanger or door flyer put on every door in a neighborhood. Here's one that's pretty much free, and I recommend it for everybody, driving for dollars. Sometimes I'm just driving around, and I see a tarp on a roof. They might as well be waving a big red flag. Desperate motivated seller, please buy my house. I mean, think about this. Somebody's most valuable asset, a house, has a serious problem, a leak, and their solution was to go buy a $5 tarp at Home Depot. How come they didn't fix the roof? What do you think? No money. Same guy's not fixing his roof, not paying his mortgage, not paying his insurance, not paying his taxes. Sooner or later, an investor is going to pick up that deal. What are the other market? Oh, wait. We interrupt this program for a special announcement. So yes, let me talk about this. So welcome again to the Texas REIAs. The Texas REIAs provides resources for real estate investors. We told you about some of the power teams earlier. In a little while, we're going to do a market update, right? So we're going to give you a market update, tell you what's going on in the marketplace. We also provide all kinds of training for our members. So if you'd like to get some training, we really want you to be educated and participatory members of this community. This is the best training you're going to get in Texas. There's a bunch of out-of-state people that do training in Texas. They typically charge $1,000 for a workshop. I'm going to tell you, don't waste your money because it's not good training. If you really want good training, you need to learn from local experts. So we have the best training, and we even do it for free because we want our members to be participatory and educated, because if you're educated, you're going to do stuff. So we have something we call the Flipping Real Estate Investing Workshop, live training. This is Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas, actionable, practical, detailed, step-by-step training. We teach all 12 strategies. You need to know all of the strategies. We teach all the 65 different marketing campaigns, how to find off-market, because we only buy off-market real estate. We even teach all of the closes. Closes are the exact words you say to get somebody to accept your solution to their problem, your offer on their property. I'll give you an example. Recently, I went to a woman here in Texas, and I said some magic words to this woman. Now, you've heard of Jack and the Magic Beanstalk, right? He had what? He had magic beans. Well, I have magic words, right? Our closes are our magic words. So I went to a woman here in Texas, and I said some magic words to the woman, and by simply saying these magic words, she gave me her house. She literally just gave me her house. Beautiful house, by the way. Nothing wrong with the house. It was in perfect condition. A lot of equity in the house. She gave me the house. She said, "Thank you for taking my house." I didn't have to give her a single penny. And she was glad that I took her house. So thank you for taking this beautiful and perfect condition house. And all of this happened because I just said some magic words. So who's feeling a little skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're feeling a little skeptical right now. Who's not feeling skeptical right now? Seriously? You believe that? Holy cow. Look, guys, I'm not getting 100% participation. Let's try this again. I just claimed to have magic words, like Jack and the Magic Beanstalk. Well, I have magic words. By simply uttering these magic words, some woman just gave me her house. A perfect house, didn't give her any money at all. Who's feeling a little skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're feeling skeptical. Who's not feeling skeptical? Seriously, one guy. Okay, we're going to talk about a land deal after class, so stay after class. All right, we'll do that. So yeah, I want you to feel skeptical. I'm baiting you, right? I'm trying to bait you into feeling skeptical. So please remain skeptical. I want you to be skeptical, so remain skeptical. Because in a couple of minutes, I'm actually going to demonstrate what I did. And the more skeptical you are right now, the more amazed you will be when I actually demonstrate how it works. But those are the closes. Learn how to partner with local experts. People always ask, why would an expert want to partner with a rookie? Well, I'm going to give you all some advice. I'm going to give you a fact of life. This is a fact of life. If you ever want to do business with somebody operating at a higher business stature than you, how do you do that? Here's how you do that. You're going to have to help them before they're going to help you. I'm sorry, that is life. You got to give before you get. So what could you possibly do to get a multi-millionaire real estate investor to want to help you? Bring them a money-making deal, because that's what they want, right? So that's what we're going to teach you how to do. And you don't have to partner, but it's a great way to get started. How to access funding. We have 1,000 private money lenders. You want to raise money, borrow money. Private money is faster, cheaper, better than hard money or any other kind of money. Experiential learning at its very best. So we're doing this workshop live and in person, and we're also simulcasting online. We've got it coming up in a 3-city tour, so I'll give you the cities and the dates. Oh, we also have a second workshop, our commercial workshop. Some of you said you're also interested in commercial. We do a part 1 and a part 2. We recommend you come to the part 1 workshop. We're going to learn all the different strategies, and then if you want to keep going, we have a second workshop where we focus on how to apply those in the commercial space. So these are the dates, Dallas, Austin, and Houston. Pick the city and date that works best for you and come join us. I will hand out a form a little later so you can sign up. Like we said, we can sign up for free. We really want you all to be educated, participatory. You can attend live and in person, or you can attend online, either one. You can go back and forth even if you want to. And I'll hand out a form so you can sign up later. For you guys online, we'll post a link online. If you sign up tonight, it's free, so I highly recommend that you do that. But let's get back into the marketing. What are the other marketing methods? Well, here's another one, letters of intent. What is a letter of intent? A letter of intent is an offer. So the question is, who should you send an offer to? And the answer is everybody. I'm going to give you all your first homework assignment. Here it is. Tomorrow, I want each of you to send 300 people an offer on their home. I'm not kidding, because here's how investors think. Ready, fire, aim. You make the offer, and then you negotiate. You make the offer, and then you look for the money. You make the offer, and then you do your due diligence. You make the offer, and then, and only then, do you think about it. You should make everybody an offer. You should make hundreds of people's offers. Why not? Do you know that here in Texas, every time you make somebody an offer, you get 4 different options? You might want to write them down. Option number 1, you can buy a house. Why? Because they might say yes. If you make 300 shots on goal, what do you think's going to happen? Something's going in, even if you suck. And with practice, what do you think's going to happen? You get better. So more of them go in with practice. So option number 1, you can buy a house. Option number 2, you can terminate the offer after you make it. You know the Texas state promulgated contract gives the buyer the unilateral right to just rip it up, walk away, terminate, no harm, no foul, no risk, no penalty. Option number 3, you can renegotiate the offer after you make it. Do you know that it's much, much, much easier to renegotiate than it is to negotiate? Especially when everybody that calls you back is saying what? They might want to sell, i.e. they want to negotiate. Option number 4, you can sell the contract itself to somebody else that has money. Notice only one of those 4 options even required you to come up with any money to buy a house. Just make offers and give yourself options. The difference between the people that get there quickly and the people that get there slowly is understanding this concept. Take a lot of shots on goal. Look at a lot of properties. Make a lot of offers. You have nothing to lose. 0 risk, huge things to gain. Right? Most of the rookies are ready, aim, 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 fire. And the more experienced ones are ready, fire, aim. Right? You're going to get there much faster if you ready, fire, aim. And there's no risk. So just make offers. So why are there so many different marketing methods? FSBO, for sale by owner. Somebody trying to sell their own house. Why would they do that? Maybe they're lazy. Maybe they're crazy. Maybe they need solutions realtors don't offer. Why so many different marketing methods? Well, the question is, would you rather fish with a hook or would you rather fish with a net? And the answer is you need to fish with a net. And the reason is because this business is a numbers game, and now I'm going to teach you all the numbers. I'm going to teach you something now that it took me 2 years of hard work in the trenches to figure out. So I'm going to shave 2 years off your learning curve right now. By 2005, I've been a real estate investor for 2 years. And I calculated in my first 2 years, I generated about 400 leads. I looked at about 400 houses. A lead is just a name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. And here's what I figured out. As a rookie, 21 years ago, for every $100 I spent on paid marketing, things like direct mail, I got 1 good qualified motivated seller lead. As a rookie, for every 3 hours I spent on personal marketing, things like driving for dollars, didn't cost anything, but it took time. For every 3 hours I spent, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. Then I discovered conservatively 20 years ago, for every 20 leads I got, I made at least $20,000 net profit on a deal. So let me run the math for you. That means as a rookie, every time I drove around for 60 hours, I made at least $20,000 net profit. That means as a rookie, every time I sent out $2,000 in direct mail, I made at least $20,000 in net profit. Okay, so what does that mean? It means spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $4,000, make 40. Spend $8,000, make 80. Spend $16,000, make 160. Spend $32,000. You don't have to spend it all at once, by the way. Make $320,000 net profit. Are you starting to like the numbers? It took me 2 years to figure that out. But after 2 years in the trenches, what I realized was, holy cow, this whole business is just a numbers game, and Now I know the numbers. And when I realized this, when I figured this out, my brain switched. I started to think about this business in a completely different way. I now think of my whole business like it's just a little black box. And we're going to call that little black box a marketing machine. And the way that little black box works, every time I stick $100 worth of marketing in one end, eventually $1,000 worth of net profit pops out the other end. So if you had a little black box, every time you shoved $100 in one end, $1,000 popped out the other end, how many dollars would you stick in the box? How many dollars would you stick in the box? All of them. You know, and I started spending money on marketing like a drunken sailor. These are numbers that are 20 years old. Now it's like 60,000. Why is it 60,000 instead of 20,000? Because the houses are more expensive, right? Everything's gone up, right? More expensive houses means what? Means bigger profits for every deal that you do on average, right? And once I realized this, like now I see my whole business. It's just a little black box, right? Put money in, you get money out, right? And I started spending money on marketing like a drunken sailor because I knew. I finally know the numbers. I started spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I started spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I hired 2 full-time that work for me to this day, full-time 6-figure guys who spend 100% of their time spending my money on marketing. And now, today, in some months, I spend as much as $100,000 a month on marketing. Because once you know it's a numbers game, once you know the numbers, you dial it in and then you dial it up. That's how business works. You dial it in and then you dial it up. Sometime later, I actually wrote a book on investing in real estate. I don't offer this book anymore. And the reason I don't offer this book anymore, I realized it's actually not that helpful. Great book, but reading books is not all that helpful when it comes to investing in real estate. If reading books turn people into millionaires, I guess the libraries should be filled with millionaires, but they're not. And the reason it is here's what I figured out. It's not that complicated. Real estate is not that complicated. I went to engineering school. That was complicated. I had to take calculus, calculus 2, calculus 3. By the time I took calculus 3, I had to remember calculus 1 and 2. It was really complicated. I've never had to solve a differential equation to flip a house. It's not that complicated. But unlike engineering and calculus, it's a mile deep, real estate's a mile wide. It's not complicated, but there's a million details. Learning real estate is not learning a skill, it's really more like learning a language. But you can't learn a language from reading a book. Go read 100 books on how to speak Spanish. You'll learn how to count to 10. That's how far I got. There's only one way to learn a language. How do you learn a language? Yeah, immerse yourself. You want to learn Spanish? Go to Spain. You want to eat or go to the bathroom? You're going to learn some Spanish. You know, and it was actually not until my wife and I joined the local Real Estate Investor Association, I actually started spending time with real estate investors and hearing things 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times that we picked up enough of the language, enough of the details to actually start doing this ourselves. So we're about to get into the last part of the presentation, which is the strategies, arguably the most interesting part of the presentation. But if you remember at the beginning of this presentation, I said my job is actually to make you all into educated and contributing members of this community. We really want you to be participatory and active. We have these meetings all over Texas. We always have new people that come to the meetings. And we call the new people tourists. Like, hey, honey, let's go check out the REIA. Right? There's nothing wrong with being a tourist. But we figured out a long time ago, nobody actually makes any money being a tourist. We need people to be active, buying, selling, loaning, borrowing, partnering. That's where we all make money. But I also figured out, unfortunately, a long time ago, I figured out I can't turn somebody into a real estate investor in 45 minutes. If I could only figure out how to sprinkle pixie dust on everybody's head and turn them into real estate investors in 45 minutes, yeah, that would be awesome. I don't actually know how to do that, but I can, and I have, turn people into real estate investors over a period of 24 hours. Or actually, maybe it would be more accurate to say 24 hours spread out over 3 days, giving us the time to get through all the nitty-gritty details of how to do this. And this is why the Texas REIAs and Flipping.com sponsors the Flipping Real Estate Investing Workshop. I teach this myself. I actually have a passion for teaching. This is practical, actionable, detailed, step-by-step training. We'll teach you all 12 strategies. You need to know them all that are working here in Texas. All 65 methods of finding off-market wholesale deals, the closes, how to partner, how to access funding. Thousands of the most successful investors in the great state of Texas got started here. The real deal, Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas. So you're welcome to come and join us. We're promoting this online and live. I recommend you come live. And these are some of the things we're going to learn. We have heat maps. Nobody else in the world has this. We've analyzed the Texas cities for 20 years, and we can show you down to the street level exactly which streets you should buy and hold on and which streets you should fix and flip on. And it will surprise you, because some streets you would never want to own rental properties on and some you would, and there's a reason for that, and we're going to explain that to you. So if you want to build your wealth, this is worth the cost of admission all by itself, right? Because the ones you hold on to that highly appreciate are going to make you most of your wealth over the next 10 or 20 years. How about how to get off-market deals from outsourcing? We outsource all of our marketing to buy off-market deals. I only buy off-market deals. How to get paid offering free house remodels. I offer to remodel people's houses for free. It's one of the most amazing ways to make millions of dollars if you really want to, and you really can. We're going to talk about that, and it's a pretty cool marketing strategy. How about how to get 3% mortgages? There's a new loan product. So who thinks interest rates are kind of high right now? Interest rates are kind of high right now. There's a new loan product, 3% interest, right? A new 3% mortgage for rental properties. No money down, no credit check. No credit needed. So it's a no doc, no credit, no money down, 3% mortgage. Who's a little skeptical when I tell you I can get you a 3% mortgage with no money down and no documentation at all? Sounds pretty amazing, doesn't it? It's way better than the old 3% mortgage. The old 3% mortgage required you to have credit and money down. The new loan that we have is no money down, no credit, no doc, much better loan. Who's a little skeptical? Raise your hand if you're a little skeptical. Okay, this is so good, I'm going to show you in just a couple of minutes. I will give you that loan in just a couple of minutes, but we'll go into detail at the workshop as well. How to use AI. This is something I do. I don't have time to talk to thousands of people, so I have a robot do it for me. Highly recommend that. That's how you scale yourself up. That's how you make money while you're sleeping. How to use VAs. I have 14 virtual assistants. These are people in the Philippines that charge about 10 cents on the dollar because of the exchange rate. By the wages that we pay them, they're making a fortune there, but it's 10 cents on the dollar compared to what you pay people here. So I have 14 people that work for me in the Philippines, right? And they do real estate for me, also while I'm sleeping because of the time change. So we're doing this in person. We're simulcasting as well. You can come and see us in Houston, Dallas, Austin. Those are the dates. Come and join us. We'd love to have you. And one other thing I'm gonna suggest that you do, if you would like to be a member of the Texas REIAs. The Texas REIAs, if you have the slightest interest in real estate, first thing to do is to go join your Real Estate Investor Association. This is the only organization in Texas that protects the rights of real estate investors. We have legislative action. We pay lobbyists to watch out for your rights. Just a couple of years ago, we came this close to losing the wraparound mortgage. We're constantly under threat of losing wholesaling. If it was not for this organization, these things might become illegal or not possible for you guys to do. So who would like to have access to 20,000 buyers? Anybody want 20,000 buyers? Raise your hand if you'd like 20,000 buyers, okay? Who would like 1,000 private money lenders? Private money is faster, cheaper, better. Who wants 1,000 private money lenders? Who would like to have a power team, 19 players deep in every position across the board for everything you'd ever need? Okay, if that sounds interesting to you, I suggest you join the local REIA. So if you'd like to join the Texas REIAs, membership has its benefits. When you come to the workshop, you come as a VIP, which means you get preferred seating, you get lunches served and some special VIP lunch sessions, and you become a member of the REIA, which means you can post online to the group. We have a private online group. We meet every minute of every day online. Over the last decade, the members of this community have posted their deals, their offers, their questions back and forth, and you can too. We have over 20,000 members. You get a money resource guide, a training program, and we do special events every week. And if you join the REIA, you can also come to the commercial event as your Part 2 event as well. So if you'd like to join today, it is available with the special discounted price of $100. So you do not have to join the REIA to get training. We want you all to get training. But if you can afford to put $100 into your interest in real estate, I highly recommend that this will be the best $100 you put in. It's a very worthy cause. This is the only organization that supports your rights here in Texas. Did you have a question? No, it's a one-time cost. It's a one-year membership. At the end of the year, you can renew if you want to. You will not be automatically renewed unless you renew, but it's a one-year membership. Good question. And if you join the REIA, it's $100, and yes, you can bring your guest as a VIP with you to the workshop as well. So please join the REIA. You don't have to, but I really want you to, and it's a really wonderful cause. Now, the vendors pay for all of this, right? And this also pays for our legislative action, so it's a great thing to do. We also have a really cool poster. I'll show you this later. These are the 273 things you need to know to be a real estate investor. This is what happens when an engineer becomes a real estate investor. I invent things. And I made this poster. These are all the different investing strategies. These are all the different marketing campaigns. These are all the different sales scripts. These are all the different operation stuff, things like power teams and corporate structures, finance, analysis, due diligence. These are the 273 things you need to know to be a real estate investor. So we have this on a big poster. If you join the REIA, we will give you one of these posters, and we'll give you your tickets to the workshop. You come as a VIP, and then when you come to the workshop, I'll teach you how this stuff works. So I'll actually show you the poster a little bit later. Okay, so go ahead and fill out the form. And for you guys online, we just posted the link online. Now, for the form, just please make sure you fill it out correctly. I'll show you the form really quickly here. And we'll collect this later. So we're not going to collect it right now, but we'll collect this later. Obviously, put your name up here. If you're bringing a guest, put your guest name here. We got the dates of the workshops, okay? Austin, Dallas, Houston. The date that's stamped on the form is the Friday. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days. Circle the one that you're going to come to. Let us know if you're going to come online or if you're going to come in person. We'd love you to come in person. Highly recommend that. We will have tables, so you're going to have room to write on. We're not going to be packed in like the sardines like we are here. Or you can come online, or you can even go back and forth. If you come in person, you can go back and forth. Notice it is free to come to the workshop, so we got a special, and that is if you take advantage of it today. And then please also join the REIA. If you have $100, you definitely need to join the REIA. It's a great cause. The very first thing to do when you have the slightest interest in real estate is to go join your Real Estate Investor Association. This is the largest network of REIAs in the state of Texas. You get to become a VIP at the workshop. You get the poster, you get a special training program, a Texas Money Resource Guide, and you get access to 20,000 buyers, 1,000 private money lenders, and you can interact with us online. And that is discounted today for $100. So join us, give us a little more information about yourself. We'd like to connect you up with resources because that's what the REIA does. And we'll collect the form on the way out of here. Please make sure you fill it out legibly, right? Because we're going to text and email your event information to you. And if you put the wrong email or an unreadable email, somebody else is going to get your ticket instead of you. Again, these are the dates that are available. Notice we have 2 dates here. This is almost full, but there's another one coming up later. Pick the dates that are best fit for you, and please join us, hopefully in person, or if you have to or want to, online. Now, we'll collect the form later. I'll also take questions later, but I want to keep going with the training. So marketing, we talked about all this different marketing, so we're going to go marketing check. Let's get into the strategies. So let's talk about all the different ways to do this. And people always ask me the question, well, what's the best strategy to use right now? I'm going to answer that question right now. Because there's a lot of ways you can make money investing in real estate, and there's a lot of different real estate investing strategies. Okay, you can do short sales, you can do buy and hold, mortgage assignments, auction options, you can do referrals, wholesaling, you can do contracts for deeds, lease options, house swapping, wraparound mortgages, you can do equity partnering, and of course you can do fix and flip. And you can certainly spend a lot of time and money on all this training and education. In fact, my wife and I have actually spent over $100,000 on training, coaching, seminars, books, etc. Most of it was great, some of it was not great, it all sounded great. But I don't feel bad about spending over $100,000 on our education because we've made many millions of dollars from our education. But I do have a little pet peeve at how most people get started and how most people teach people to get started. Because when you look at all of these different investing strategies, here's the good news. They all work. All of these things can make you money investing in real estate. That's the good news. The bad news is that they each only work in unique situations. You see, each of these strategies should be thought of as the solution to a particular problem or situation. But remember what I said earlier, your job one is what? Marketing, finding the deal. So here's a brand new investor looking for a deal. And he does some marketing and he generates a lead. What is a lead? The name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. Well, if this guy had gotten the right training, education, he would know how to help the seller solve their problem by using a strategy called a wraparound mortgage. That's the solution to that seller's problem or situation. But that's not the training he got. He just went to one of those wholesale seminars. All he learned how to do was wholesale. So he's looking for a wholesale deal, but he found a wrap deal. He doesn't know how to do that, so he can't help that seller. He can't make money on that lead. So what's he going to do? He's going to do some more marketing. He's going to generate another lead. And now if he only knew how to do a mortgage assignment, he could help a seller solve a problem, get himself paid, but he doesn't know how to do that because all he knows how to do is wholesaling. He's still looking for a wholesale deal. So what does he do now? He does some more marketing and generates yet another lead. Now if he only knew how to do an auction option, he could solve a big problem, get himself a big check. But again, he doesn't know how to do that because all he learned how to do is wholesaling, and he's still looking for a wholesale deal. Are you starting to see the problem? This is big rookie problem number 2. There's 30,000 YouTube videos that teach people how to get started investing in real estate. And what most of that education says is you need to get started by learning one strategy, and this is the best one. No, this is the best one. No, 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 this is the best one. Well, whatever. You need to learn a strategy, do that strategy, make money on that strategy. After you learn how to make money on that strategy, later on you can learn how some other strategies work. And it sounds pretty good and it feels pretty good, but forgive my language when I say this, that is a completely ass-backwards way to go about this. Saying that you need to get started by learning one strategy and make money on one strategy before you learn the other strategy is kind of like saying you need to go to Las Vegas and learn how to bet on one number on the roulette wheel. And after you make enough money betting over and over and over again on that one number on the roulette wheel, later on you can learn how the other numbers work. Well, that's ridiculous. Yet that's how 95% of real estate investors get started investing in real estate. And probably 99% of the wholesalers. So let's talk about wholesaling. There's nothing wrong with wholesaling. In fact, it's one of the 12 strategies that I use and that I teach. In fact, I would say it's probably the easiest one to teach. The problem, however, with wholesaling is I would argue it's probably the hardest one to do that on average makes the least amount of money. So when somebody tells me I want to get started by wholesaling, here's how my brain translates that plan. I want to do the hardest thing there is to do that on average makes the least amount of money. And I know from my experience that about 99 out of 100, maybe not 100 out of 100, but about 99 out of 100 people that try to execute that plan end up giving up before they get going. How many of you, for example, have ever read the book, The Millionaire Wholesaler? That's because it's never been written. And it never will be. Because it's the hardest thing to do that makes the least amount of money. You know why? I mean, there's nothing wrong with wholesaling, but why just do wholesaling? It's a lot of work for a little money you're going to give up before you ever get going. So I'm going to teach you what the top 5% of investors do. And my advice is to play to be in the top 5% or don't bother, because they make all the money. So here's how I do it, and here's how I'm going to teach you how to do it at the workshop. What I do is I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel, and then I spin the wheel a lot. And what do I mean by bet on all the numbers on the wheel? I use all 12 strategies. Why not learn all 12 ways to fill out a contract? Why not learn all 12 ways to solve a problem? You spend time and money, it's called marketing, to get somebody with a problem to call you. If there's a way to help them and solve the problem and get paid, you need to help them and solve their problem and get paid. And once you know all 12 strategies, we have a strategy, a solution for every problem there is. We can help motivated sellers, non-motivated sellers, free and clear, hopelessly underwater. And then once you learn how to do that, then you want to spin the wheel a lot, which means what? Look at a lot of deals. Make a lot of offers. Take a lot of shots on goal. So this is what the top 5% of investors do. So let's play to be in the top 5%. And to do that, you need to know all the strategies. So let me teach you some strategies. Actually, first I'm going to tell you another story. This was my first big deal. This is a good story. After I was a real estate investor for just over 2 years, I flipped this house, and I actually made $291,000 net profit, pretty good profit flipping this house. But the more interesting part of the story is I was actually the 8th investor at bat. What does that mean? It means 7 other real estate investors looked at this deal before me and passed on the deal. How's that possible? How could 7 different real estate investors pass on an opportunity to make almost $300,000 net profit on a deal? How's that even possible? I'm going to tell you it's not just possible, it's typical. Let me tell you the rest of the story. First investor walks in this house, said, I'd love to buy your house, but you're underwater. You owe more money than the house is worth. You can't even afford to sell me your house. Second investor walks in this house, said, I'd love to buy your house, but you're in bankruptcy. I can't buy a house from somebody in bankruptcy. Third investor walks into this house and said, well, I can help you avoid a foreclosure by doing something called a short sale, but I can't do that while you're in bankruptcy. Plus you have a mid-construction project. I don't do mid-construction. I walked into this house and I said, my, oh my, oh my, you have a lot of big problems here. Big problem means what? Big opportunity, exactly. You know, it took 1, 2, 3 different strategies to solve this guy's problem. I solved the problem, I got the check. My competition was a bunch of one-trick ponies. Most of my competition is a bunch of one-trick ponies. There's 20,000 YouTube videos that teach people to be one-trick ponies. One-trick ponies are annoying, they get in the way at times, but they don't last long. Guys, if you think you're going to find pretty houses at big discounts just waiting for you, hanging off of trees, you're smoking crack, okay? This is what opportunity looks like. A big bundle of problems with a nice pretty bow around it. I want a house where half the house burned down. I want a house that had a meth lab that exploded in the garage. I want a house that flooded. I want a house that has mold. I want a house where someone was murdered in the living room. Oh yeah, you can make a killing on a murder house. I own one. How do you make a killing on a murder house? This is serious. Now, murder, stigma's common, stigma house. Murder's not common, stigma's common. But let me give you an example. Got to change your thinking. What do you think it cost to buy a murder house? Anybody want to guess? Not much. 20 cents on the dollar. And you know what everybody says when they see that house? They point at that house, that's a murder house. And a year later, everybody going by that house, they point at that house, man, something bad happened in that house. A few years later, they go by that house and they kind of look around, they're like, something happened somewhere around here. And about 5 years later, they look at that house, and what do they say? How much for that house? Looks like a nice house. Stigmas go away. I bought a house for $180,000. It's now worth $480,000. What did I do? I didn't do anything. I rented it out for 5 years to a guy that didn't mind living in a murder house. I gave him a good deal. Right? And the point is, I mean, somebody gets shot in a bar, it's a crime scene. A few years later, it's a tourist attraction. Stigmas go away. Problems are opportunities. Big problems are what? Bigger opportunities. So you have to change your mindset. We're looking for problems. We help the world. We add value to the world by solving the world's problems. We take the properties nobody wants, we turn them into properties everybody wants. That's what we do. We make neighborhoods more beautiful. That's what we do. We add value. So I'll give you another example. One of my students recently bought one of those $150,000 Teslas, and he paid cash for it. And he calls that car his air car, H-E-I-R, air car. Somebody died without a will. But they did have 42 heirs. And by the way, 2 out of 3 people don't have a will, light bulb, but they did have 42 heirs. And everybody said, no way, man, there's no way you're going to get 42 people to agree on something, big problem. Okay, he rolls up his sleeves, and it took a little effort, but eventually he got 42 people to agree that a little bit of something is a whole lot better than a whole lot of nothing. Now he's driving around a $150,000 air car. The point is, problems are opportunities. Big problems, big opportunities. So we use these marketing methods to find these people with the problems. And then we use the strategies to solve their problems. So let me teach you a couple strategies. I have time for 2, so I'm going to teach you 2. The first strategy I'm going to teach you today is wholesaling. The easiest one to teach. Let me teach you right now. How does this work? You simply find a property and get it under contract. How much does it cost to get a property under contract? Nothing. Can we all afford that? I think so. And then after we get the property under contract, instead of buying the property, we're simply going to sell the contract to another investor for a fee. How much is the fee? Well, it depends. $500 to $5,000 for a small deal, $10,000 to $25,000 for an average deal, $25,000 or more for a big deal. And this is a no money and no risk strategy. I've discovered it's really hard to lose money when you're not actually spending or investing any money. 9 of the 12 strategies are no money strategies, very scalable. Whether you have money or not, you have to learn how to do it with no money because it's the only way to scale. And you have to use other people's money. So this is another no money, no risk strategy. So let me show you an example. When you come to the workshop, I'm going to teach you theory. I just taught you theory. But then every time I teach the theory, I always tell the story. So at the workshop, I'm going to tell you at least 100 different stories. Stories are how people actually did it, right? Because that's how you really learn, not from theory, but from action. So for example, this is Kimberly. She came to the workshop. She rolled up her sleeve. She did her first deal. This was her first deal, and then she told me about it. Her mom was visiting her from out of town. So she's in the car with her mom. Her mom's like, Kim, where are we going? Oh, well, Mom, we're going to get a house under contract. What? Kim, are you crazy? What are you talking about? You just graduated from college. You don't have any money. You don't have any credit. You don't even have a job. What do you mean you're getting a house under contract? Don't worry, Mom. I know what I'm doing. So Kim's mom watched Kim walk into this house and offer the seller $265,000 cash for his house. And he signed a contract. Right? Now, obviously, he was a motivated seller. Obviously, they talked on the phone ahead of time. Kim then took that contract and she posted it out to this network. You know, we meet every minute of every day online. You know, over the last decade, the members of this community, all right, thousands and thousands and thousands of times, the members of this community post their deals, contracts, questions, offers, money, resources back and forth over that network. So Kim posted this deal out to the network, and guess what? Several other members of the network wanted to buy that contract, that deal from Kim. And one of the other members of the REIA negotiated and paid Kim $17,000 for the contract. So Kim just sold her contract to another member of the REIA for $17,000. So now Kim is a believer. Well, actually, Kim was a believer. Now Kim's mom is a believer. So what would Kim have done with that contract if nobody had wanted to buy the contract? What would she have done with the contract? Right? Ripped it up, terminate, no harm, no foul, no risk, no penalty. But she didn't need to. So who bought the contract? Another member of the REIA by the name of Tatiana. Let me tell you about Tatiana. Tatiana paid Kim $17,000 for the contract. It then became Tatiana's contract. Crossed Kim's name out as the buyer, wrote her name, or really her company's name, in as the buyer. Okay, bought the contract. Tatiana then bought the house for $265,000 cash. She had the cash. She kept it for 6 months as a month-to-month rental. After the tenants moved out, she did a renovation and a small addition. and then she sold it after owning it for 12 months, and when she sold it, she made almost $100,000 of net profit. That she only had to pay long-term capital gains taxes, no income taxes. Do you think Tatiana was pretty happy that Kim found that deal for her? What do you think? Of course, you bet. So let's see what we got. Do a little audience participation. By a show of hands, just out of curiosity, by a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Okay, let me ask you a different question. How much cash do you have to be a cash buyer, to make a cash offer? 0. Well then, how much cash do you actually have to be a cash buyer? 0. You don't have to have any cash to make a cash offer. You don't have to have any cash to be a cash buyer. You just need to know people with cash. So let me ask you a different question. Does anybody here know somebody that you could call if you got a smoking hot deal to buy a property for a big discount for cash? Does anybody know such a person? For example, who? For example, who? Yeah, what do you think I'm doing up here, guys? Over here. And in fairness, there's hundreds of guys just like me out on that network that would be pleased as punch, right? If you guys got out there, got some properties under contract, you don't want it yourself, pitch it back to the group. That's why we want you. That's why we need you. That's why we'll even train you. We're starting to see how this figures out, right? Train you to be educating, contributing members of this network. But I can see I have my work cut out for me. So I'm going to try this again. By a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Could you get your daughter to raise her hand? Because even she's a cash buyer. Yes, indeed. All right. So yeah, and the network instantly puts people with cash in connection with people with off-market deals. Instantly puts people with deals in connection with people with cash. Welcome to the wholesale market. And I said, you're not going to find your deal in the retail market, the MLS. That's the retail pond. That's the pond with the small fish. You need to fish in the wholesale pond. That's the pond with the big fish. Where's the wholesale pond? You're sitting in it. A large network of real estate investors horse trading back and forth. Welcome to the wholesale marketplace. All right, one more strategy, and then we'll wrap this up. This one's a bit more complicated and, frankly, a bit more interesting. It is called buying a property subject to the mortgage. What does that mean? This is buying real estate with no money and with no credit. I am a nationally recognized expert at teaching this strategy. It is possible I am the national expert. I don't know about that, but I'm certainly a nationally recognized expert. Probably taught more people that have actually successfully done this than maybe anybody else. What does this mean? How does this work? How does real estate work? When somebody buys real estate, how does that actually work? They go to a title company and they sign a stack of documents. Most of the documents at a closing are disclaimers and disclosures, but there's 2 documents that get signed at the closing that actually make the transaction occur. The 2 documents that are actively making the transaction occur are the deed and the note. The deed and the note. Notice these are 2 completely separate instruments, a deed and a note. Whosever name goes on the deed, that's who owns the house. Whosever name goes on the note, that's who's responsible for the mortgage. So there's a deed and there's a note. Normally, the same guy is on both. A guy buys a house, his name is on the deed, his name is on the note, he owns the house, he's responsible for the mortgage. That's normal. He moves into the house, and all the rights, privileges, responsibilities, and the benefits of home ownership go to him. It's his house. At the end of the month, he gets a statement from the bank, says you owe us $2,000 for your mortgage. He writes the bank a check for $2,000. The bank gets a check. The bank cashes the check. Bank's happy. He's happy. Everybody's happy. That's how it works. And then the guy goes on to get married. And, well, you know, Texas is a community property state. So after the guy gets married, the wife is added to the deed. So now there's 2 names on the deed, his and hers. But his name is still the only name on the note. Okay? Just because somebody's added on or off the deed, that does not affect the note. And then time goes on and things don't work out and they get a divorce. And in their situation, the wife gets the house in the divorce. So now something kind of interesting has happened. Now her name is the only name left on the deed, but his name is still the only name on the note. So the question is, as long as he keeps sending a check to the bank every month, or she starts sending the bank a check every month, or a tenant or a property manager, a neighbor, investor, friend, or family member, or somebody sends the bank a check every month, the question is, does the bank actually care who wrote the check? What do you think? No. There's some dude sitting in the bank getting paid $9.82 an hour to open envelopes. He's like, oh, we got a check. It's for the right amount. Came on time and it cleared. We're good. So if you're all listening to my story so far, I just told you all a story about a woman, about a spouse, about a person that was able to acquire real estate even with no money and with no credit. So there it is, a way to acquire real estate with no money and no credit. Yeah, I told you I was going to teach you how to get real estate with no money and no credit. Okay, here's the really, really good part. You can all do exactly the same thing, and you don't have to get married to do it. Because here's the deal, and you're going to like this. Anybody here, even that little girl over there, anybody can go up to any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage, from any lender on any house at any time, and you can make them an offer. And the offer any of you can make to any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time is this. Here's the offer. I will make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. Or I will find somebody to make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. What's the catch? You have to transfer the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. It's called buying a property subject to the existing mortgage. You do this with any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time. And the only person on the planet that has to agree to the transaction is the person whose name is on the deed, not the bank. The bank has no say in this transaction. There are federal laws that regulate this transaction. Anybody can transfer their deed to anybody. Anybody can pay somebody else's mortgage if they want to. So if you're listening to me closely, here's what you just heard me say. You can buy any house in Texas from any homeowner in Texas that has any loan from any lender. You can buy that person's house at any time, and you can even buy and own that house even with no money and even with no credit by simply offering to take over the payment on their mortgage, or even offering to find somebody to take over the payment on their mortgage in exchange for them simply transferring the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. And once you learn how to buy houses with no money and with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. It's a very scalable process. Look, when somebody's in financial distress, here's what you need to understand. They got a house, they got a mortgage, and they're in financial distress. Is the house the problem, or is the mortgage the problem? Owning a house is never a problem. Being responsible for a mortgage when you're in financial distress, that's a big problem. If you solve the big problem by taking over the payment or finding somebody to take over the payment, by solving the big problem, you ask them to transfer the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. Now, once somebody transfers their deed to you, right, you own it. You can do whatever you want with it. You can renovate it and retail sell it to somebody else. You can wrap it, assign it, you keep it as a rental property, you keep it as your own homestead, if you like. I've helped many of my friends here in Texas buy their very own homestead with this little or no money, no credit needed strategy. How much money can you make? Well, there's a lot of ways to make a lot of money once you're buying houses with no money and no credit. Small flip, at least 10 or 15,000, typically a lot more. This is another little or no money, little or no risk strategy. Let me show you an example of a deal. This is one of the $30 million worth of houses that I own here in Texas. Now, if I wanted to buy $30 million worth of houses traditionally, I'd have to put down 20% every time I bought a house. In other words, I'd have to be a multi-millionaire just to become a millionaire. Well, I wasn't a millionaire when I started buying these houses. So how was I able to buy a $30 million worth of portfolio? Well, most of these were bought subject to, including this one. So let me tell you about this one. A woman owned this house worth $150,000. She owed $110,000 on the mortgage. So this house has $40,000 of equity. She had the house rented out for $1,600 a month rent. The mortgage payment, including tax and insurance, is $1,100 a month. So this house is generating $500 a month of gross cash flow. It should have, could have, and it would have been a perfect rental property, except for one major problem. This woman had lost her job. She was continuing to collect the rent and living off the rent, but she stopped paying the mortgage. 4 days before the first Tuesday of the month, when the bank was going to foreclose on her, I knocked on her door. Hello, can I help you? I am here to help you. Well, what can you do? There's no time. How can you help? How can you help? There's no time. What can you do? How can you help? What can you do? Here's what I can do. I can stop the foreclosure. I can reinstate your loan. I can catch up your mortgage payments. I can make your mortgage payments for you going forward. I can even repair all your credit. Well, that's amazing. What's the catch? You simply have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. And she said deal. Why in the world did she say deal? Because in 4 days, she's losing the house. That was a done deal. But she wasn't just going to lose the house. In addition to losing the house, she was going to get a little bonus to go along with it. What do you call the bonus? A foreclosure. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I told her. You don't want a foreclosure. You may think a foreclosure is the end of your problem. Well, it's not. It's the beginning of a 10-year nightmare that starts with the sheriff and his deputies dragging you and your family and all of your possessions to the curb in front of your friends and neighbors. It's 10 years of dealing with the IRS, potentially garnishing your wages to collect on a 1099 that can be issued against you for up to the full value of the loan. It's 10 years of dealing with the lender, potentially filing a lawsuit against you for up to the full value of the home. It's 10 years of dealing with creditors calling you, hounding you day and night to collect on the judgment from the lawsuit. It's 10 years of not being able to buy another home, not being able to buy a car, not being able to get a credit card, not being able to open certain bank accounts or even rent certain apartments or even get certain jobs. In other words, it's a bullet to the head. And nobody wants all that. And I stopped all of that from happening to her. And she was thrilled. She even said thank you. And the bank was thrilled because they didn't want the house back. They wanted their money, so I gave them their money. And the tenants were thrilled because they didn't want to get kicked out of the house. They wanted to keep renting the house, so I let them keep renting it for me. But mostly I was thrilled because for $4,500, which is what it cost me to reinstate that loan, I now own this beautiful $150,000 house. It came with a loan, came with $40,000 of equity, all mine, came with tenants paying me $1,600 a month rent. After I paid the bank $1,100, I put $500 back in my pocket. And if you think that's cool, my wife and I own $30 million worth of these properties. Some of them took small amounts of money like this. Most of them honestly took more money than this, but then some of them took absolutely no money at all. So how many of you would like me to walk you step by step by step through how to do this deal? Who would like me to walk you step by step? Okay, we're all out of time. I'm sorry, we're almost out of time. I'm going to finish. I do love this deal, but I'll bet you don't know why I love this so much. Some of you are like, oh, you're making $500 a month. That's not it. $500 is not going to affect my life or my lifestyle. What I love about this is that by doing this over and over and over again, over the last 21 years, my wife and I were able to accumulate a portfolio that's now worth $30 million. In fact, just over the last 3 years, that portfolio went up in value by more than 30%. In other words, just over the last 3 years, my wife and I became more than $10 million richer from having done this thing over and over again. This thing that required little or no money and no credit. That's what I love about this. This is the strategy that allows anybody, regardless of money or credit, to become multi-millionaires. And once I realized the wealth potential of this strategy, I actually made one additional tweak to the strategy. I no longer buy these houses in my name. In fact, I no longer buy these houses in my company's name. Now when I buy these houses, I prefer to buy them in my IRA. How many of you were aware that you could do this transaction with your IRA? Okay, well, for the rest of you, you know you can do this transaction with your IRA. Some of you were here earlier, Directed Trust IRA. They'll set it up for you. Come to the workshop. We'll set it up for you. So what happens when my IRA does this transaction? My IRA puts out the $4,500 reinstatement fee to the bank, and the deed transfers to the IRA. Every month, the property manager deposits $1,600 of rent into the IRA. Every month, the IRA issues a check for $1,100 to pay the mortgage, and $500 rolls back into the IRA. But that's not the good part. So then what's the good part? Over the next 25 years, this property will double in value, and it'll double again. And even at very conservative appreciation rates, it'll almost double a third time. Something interesting happens to the loan over the next 25 years. What happens to the loan? It gets paid off by the tenants. Thank you very much, tenants. I got 3 notices this year that 3 of my properties got paid off by the tenants. Thank you very much, tenants. So in other words, every time your IRA does this deal, your IRA ultimately ends up owning an asset worth about $1 million that by then you own free and clear. And because my IRA is also a Roth IRA, when I sell this asset in retirement, 100% of the proceeds are tax-free. Did y'all just see what I did? I just showed you how to turn a $4,500 IRA into $1 million tax-free, doing one deal, one time. Helping a woman out of a horrible situation. Helping a bank not take a property back they didn't want back. Helping tenants stay in a property they wanted to stay in, all that doing it just once. The average retired person at the age of 65 has a net worth of $62,000. It's pathetic. If you just did this one deal one time, you'd be 25 times richer than the average retired person just doing it once. But I'll tell you something else I've observed. I've never seen somebody do this deal once. 95% of the people will never do this deal. And 100% of the people that do this once, then what do? Then they do it again. And then what do? And then they do it again, and again, and again. And 20 years later, they're standing by a podium at a hotel talking about all the times they did it. So one last time, how many of you would like me to walk you step by step by step through how to do this deal? Who wants to see exactly how this works? Okay, I'm going to walk you step by step how to find this deal, how to get it under contract, which closing to use, which words to say, which contract to use, which attorney and title company to close that. I'm going to walk you all the way operationally, step by step by step, through exactly how this works. I'm going to go through a lot of details. But it's going to take us about 3 days, so we're going to have to finish at the workshop. So there we are. And obviously, that's just one of the strategies. I'll take some questions in just a minute. That's just one of the 12 strategies. Not even my favorite one. My favorite one is remodeling houses for free. So we're going to teach you all 12 strategies, all 65 marketing campaigns. I just taught you your first close. That was literally called the atomic bomb close. Those are the words I said, and she handed me her deed and said, thank you. Now think about this. I get a list of all of these people. That's a marketing list. I call them, I read that script, those magic words, and then they hand you the house and they say thank you. I mean, that's how this works. Now, obviously it doesn't work every time that way. It's a numbers game. Maybe 1 in 20 it works that way. But that's how this business works, right? Get the list, do the marketing, get the lead, read the script, close it, thank you, and on to the next one. So we got a special workshop coming up, Austin, Dallas, Houston. Please join the REIA. Come as a VIP. If I'm going to do something, I certainly want to get preferred treatment. And I want to be in those lunch sessions and build my power team. Some logistics, pick the dates and location that works best for you. Let's do a quick poll of the audience. How many of you are going to be joining us live? Who's going to be coming to the workshop live? Raise your hand if you're going to come live. How many of you are going to come online? Who's going to come online? Okay, you're going to come online? You're going to be live? Who's not coming? Is anybody not coming? You're not coming? Why not? All right, we'll talk about it privately. No problem. So we got everybody but you, and that's fine. Yeah, question in the back? Okay. So pick the date, location that is best for you, and come join us. I'll give you some logistics. We'll also take some questions as well. For you guys online, fill out the form online. Please join the REIA. It's only $100. It's going to be a great investment. It's a worthy cause. This is the only organization that looks out for your rights, and you get to join our online network, 20,000 buyers and other people you can do deals with. Get a cool poster as well. So fill out the form. We'll collect the forms at the end. A couple of other housekeeping, and I do have a market update I'm going to go through with you. I'm going to tell you what's going on in the marketplace. But if you'd like to get access, we do print all of our presentations and post them online. So join us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube channel. Just look for Texas REIAs. We'd love to have you there. Some logistics for the event itself: 3 days, 24 hours. I teach this all myself. So you're going to see me for 3 days. I love teaching this stuff. I'm going to start talking about 8:45 a.m. So get there by 8:30, get a good seat, become a VIP, get a front row seat, and bring a notepad. You're going to fill the entire notepad with notes. I tell everybody this is not some fluffy seminar. This is real deal, folks, right? I'm expecting you to take notes, ask questions, stay engaged. It's going to be 24 hours over 3 days. If you're online, turn on your camera, ask questions, be engaged. If you're not going to be engaged, don't even bother to come, right? I'm looking for people that really want to take action, right? So we're going to be teaching how this business really works. We're going to go late Friday, late Saturday, early Sunday. How late? I don't know. Kind of depends on questions and how it goes, but I'm going to guess we're going to go probably about 7:30 on Friday, Saturday, and then we'll end up early on Sunday. Some other questions real quick. How much experience do I need to do this? 75% of the people that come to the residential workshop are just getting started. Maybe 25% are experienced investors, but they're coming to learn the subject to and some of the advanced strategies that we teach best. Can I bring my significant other? Highly recommend you drag them by force if necessary. I'm going to tell you what will happen if you do not bring your significant other. I'm going to teach you how to do creative real estate investing. You're going to go find a house. You're going to go home. You're going to say, honey, guess what? We're buying a house. And if honey was not at the workshop, what's honey going to say? What, are you crazy? How do you do that? Trust me, I will make it fun. I will make it interesting. I can't tell you how many people got dragged to my training and they ended up becoming the ones to pick up the ball and run with it. But even if they're not super interested in real estate, they're going to be much more supportive by understanding how it works. So yes, it is 2 for 1 when you join. In fact, if you become a VIP, you can bring your guest with you. How do I know this is the real deal? Don't ask me. Please don't ask me. How about you ask somebody that's done it? I do something kind of interesting. I invite everybody I teach to give me feedback, handwritten feedback. I don't trust the internet. Don't trust things you read online. Do not trust reviews online. So we do handwritten feedback. Fill out a feedback form, sign it, put your name on it, all in your own writing. We scan 100% of the feedback forms. We post them on the internet for the whole world to see. Thousands of feedback forms. Why would I post thousands of feedback forms on the internet no matter what anybody puts on the feedback form? Go look for yourself. And I'm going to tell you what you're going to see. 99 out of 100 is always exactly the same. Oh my God, this was literally a life-changing experience. And if you don't believe me, look for yourself. Where do I get my tickets? When you fill out the form, hand your form at the desk outside. They're going to give you a receipt. They're giving you a little envelope with your tickets and the information for the event. Pick your date. If for some reason you have to change the date, just make your best guess at the date. We're going to call you right before the event and text you to RSVP you. If you need to change, we'll let you change your date. If you registered today, it's free. Even if you change your date, you can still change your date. But we will need to know right before the event, like how many lunches to serve, how many people are coming, et cetera. And if you want even more help, join the REIA, right? And then you can interact with me and 20,000 other people online.